In an ever more populated PCC and PDW market, smaller, lighter, and more modular are the demands that most consumers have for their setups. Strike Industries has further dipped their toes into these waters with a P320-based chassis system that allows you to pick your own optic, brace, stock, light, laser, and at a rather competitive price. This is our look at the SMC Alpha Mk2 chassis system. But first, a quick word from our sponsors.
Imagine a 9mm carbine with roller delay action just like Kraut Space Magic. Now imagine it didn't have garbage ergonomics. The brand new Kuna from Springfield Armory gives you that roller delayed smooth recoil you're looking for with reversible, non-reciprocating charging handle and absolutely everything.
The first thing that'll jump out to you is the all-aluminum construction. This is much more rigid than the Bravo chassis that came before this and a lot of other plastic-based chassis systems. You're only a couple of properly torqued screws and some Loctite away from having a relatively solid PDW that fits in a bag but doesn't feel like a toy. The kit as it comes in the box, no optic, slide, barrel, FCU, brace, or stock, is right at 16 ounces, which isn't insignificant, but with all the lightning cuts, I don't see how you'd make this much lighter unless you're using titanium or magnesium-based alloys, which would significantly up the cost. At $549 before the requisite 320 donor, it's not cheap, but I do like that you're not locked into a specific set of accessories when it comes to your setup. The most flexible part of this kit is the optic mount. Strike Industries has been implementing a universal optic mounting system very similar to the Viz system on the Echelon. It's incredibly handy when you have a particular want for a pistol dot and you don't have to worry about adapter plates or footprint compatibility. It accomplishes this with a bunch of removable recoil lugs and an array of pre-drilled holes to facilitate mounting whatever flavor of optic you want. I still think an optic-specific cut is a more durable setup, but given the current market for pistol dots, this is a much more consumer-friendly solution. It comes with a 1913 backplate for attaching braces and stocks, which is slowly becoming an industry standard for non-AR based platforms. In front of that is a QD cup for a single point sling on either side of the chassis and a 1913 rail where you would expect one on a pistol. I highly recommend installing the blast shield if you like your fingers, and it also buys you real estate to have a spare mag holder as well as a weapon mounted light. The included side charging handle that replaces the back plate on the slide is actually pretty solid, but it took getting my thumb getting whacked a few times before I remembered that it reciprocates with said slide and can be a really unpleasant experience if you're not used to it. So in typical Strike Industries fashion, they have found a way to get me interested in a platform that I probably wasn't interested in before. This happened to me at SHOT Show when they had their little P90 like DMR setup.
Like the P90 from The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, I didn't want a P90 until today.
Yeah.
I didn't have a ton of interest in the 320 platform, but this, if you happen to get a really smoking deal on a 320, is a pretty interesting discussion around what you might do with it. We had some time on the Bravo chassis, which was basically like a plastic version of this. Most of these accessories I actually ripped off of that Bravo chassis and put it on this. And what essentially this does, which is uniquely different, is it is a lower, right? So you have the grip module and the frame is metal, right? This is all aluminum. And then everything else slaps onto it, which I thought was really, really cool.
By lower, he means chassis.
Or the chassis, sorry.
It's non-serialized.
Yeah, but I do like what they did with this. The biggest thing for me is most PDWs have a lot of flex or they're really heavy. This is somewhere there in the middle. We had the Kuna earlier. You guys can go check out our review for that. Really, really cool system. Very heavy compared to this. Also pretty bulky compared to this.
Yeah.
There's some cost. This is probably pretty close. Once you get done with, this is like a Spectre comp. This is kind of an expensive version of the 320.
Yeah.
But the cost isn't too far off if you just end up with like a system for it. But like AR9's way bigger than this. Even MP5s, like an MP5K, before you add anything to it, it's already bigger and heavier than this.
Well, I think recently too, like there's been a lot of PDWs that have come out, and PDWs are kind of hot again because it's like this is something that you could very easily keep in like a laptop bag,
Right.
or the laptop sleeve of your backpack, and is going to tend to be more accurate than if you were firing just with a standard like two-handed grip.
Yeah.
I think what's cool about this compared to the other Strike is I didn't get a lot of time on the Mark 1. Having this little tower here with the red dot was a little bit nicer because it's easier to track that dot
Yeah.
Through recoil. So in terms of having a weapon system where your like red dot, like when you're firing really fast, it's jumping because it's mounted to your slide and
Right.
it's going through recoil. This makes it a little bit easier to shoot because it's not moving at all. And then on top of it, you're getting a nice stable platform.
Yeah.
When you can actually lock it down like that, you can get really fast shots off, and not just really fast shots, but fast, accurate shots because you're not getting off target really at all.
Yeah, and there's some people that come with a background of just believing that, well, it's from Strike Industries, this is going to be cheap or whatever. And I've had time on a Flux Raider before, and I can understand that there's some things on the Raider that you might have some preferences for. There are some things that subjected this, specifically, especially the brace side of this, to that I wouldn't do to a lot of things. I finally got it to, I had this little baby piece that I managed to crack off of the frame, but I had to put, and I'm a 250-pound man, all of my force on it, and I grabbed the extreme of the front end of it and the back end of it, and I tried to bend it, and it's still perfectly operable even under that condition. That's a lot to ask out of something that weighs as little as this does and has as little bulk as this does.
The only thing I would like to change, and it's going to be hard to do with this slide particularly because we have the front sight post mounted to the compensator in the front, not the actual slide, would be to use one of the like top charging slide or one of the charging handles that goes on the front versus on the back. That way I'm not worried about getting my thumb clocked by that charging handle.
Yeah.
You can get used to it. It's just like if you go maybe 2 or 3 weeks without using it and say like, oh, you're in a moment of I got to use this.
Right.
If you're using it in a self-defense scenario, you may not remember it.
Given the nature of how it is, it's going to reciprocate probably no matter what. Just put it in a place where I'm not going to touch it. And you could easily swap this to the left side of or the right side of the gun and then just have to do like an AK charge on it. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
I do like the optics mounting system that they have for this. It is, I kind of talked about it in the scripted section that it's kind of like the Echelon. It's got a bunch of little
like the Viz
sprues.
system.
Very, very cool. I think especially when you talk about pistol dots, this is probably the most painful. Maybe you already have like a really nice RMR that you've taken off of stuff. The Type 2 is going to fit there. If you happen to have a Delta Point Pro, it's going to fit on there.
I appreciate it because like if you actually look at it, that tower has screws in the bottom of it and is removable. So they could have just made like, oh, do you want your RMR tower? Do you want your Delta Point Pro? Your 8-point? And instead they actually gave you a system where you buy one thing and it works with a lot of dots.
Yeah. The other thing too is on the back end here, having the 1913 part for your stocker brace, depending on what you want to do, and post January 1st, it might get a little bit more interesting for you. There are so many different manufacturers for braces and stocks and whatever that I think this is preferable to the people that want to build.
Yeah.
I think the entire system as a PDW is a builder-friendly one. The most builder-friendly, if I can throw a caveat, would be that this is Glock compatible. There is an FCU out there floating around that belongs to a person that you can go get a thing for. But that's a conversation for a different day.
I think it's cool personally. You know,
Yeah.
I own a lot of Glocks, have a lot of Glock mags.
Right.
And this is sick, but this with an RXM footprint or RXM slide gets a lot cooler to me.
I do like seeing the technology there. Clearly, there's a lot of intentionality put towards trying to make sure that you can use your own optic, trying to make sure that you can use your own brace or your own stock. If you want the blast end, you can do the little blast deflector thing. If you want to have,
advise it.
I would.
Especially if you're using the forward grip or forward magazine
holder.
I would absolutely use it. I think it's very easy to
Yeah.
kind of get real handsy with it and kind of get your thumbs up there. And depending on which slide you have, whether it's a more compact or long slide, you could potentially get your thumb a little close to that. So I would recommend if you are going to go with the mag holder in the front that you probably also want to get this blast shield just to keep all your digits intact.
I think it's cool. If you have any actual hands-on experience with the system, I'd be curious to see what your experience was like. If you didn't, I'll let you guess, and I'll argue with you in the comment section about why you're probably wrong. But I like having the conversations. Really, the whole goal of this channel is to get the brain food out there so that people can make more informed decisions when they think about their Second Amendment rights. But more than anything, support those companies that are supporting your right to the Second Amendment, because without them, this would all just be conjecture.